Welcome to the PowerMetrics product overview. My name is Allan Wille. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO at Klipfolio. I'm really excited to show you about PowerMetrics, our new lightweight business intelligence application aimed at helping business leaders and their teams making faster and better decisions on a daily basis. So why don't we dive in? I'm going to show you the entire process from creating metrics, adding them to dashboards, and then even sharing them. So we're going to start by adding a metric, and we're actually going to use an instant metric to start with. Even though we have tons and tons of different data sources and applications and databases that we can connect to, we're going to focus on Google Analytics right now. So if we click on this, you'll see that there's a number of pre-built metrics available, but you can also bring in custom data via Query Builder into Klipfolio as well. We're going to actually use percentage new users as our first metric that we add. And you can see that if you click on it, you get some additional information, and there's always more about each metric available on Metric HQ. So creating a metric is really easy. You have to authenticate with the service. I have actually already done that. We of course have to sometimes click the profile that we want to fetch data for. And that's it. We then authenticate and are able to fetch data. And what's actually really cool about PowerMetrics is that because we're metric centric, we created a metric for percentage new users, which uses users and new users as the base metric. So this is why it actually created 3 metrics as opposed to just 1. Diving into each metric allows you further granularity and a choice of looking at different time frames. You can of course change your chart type. We have a number of different options available. You can add labels so that there's higher visibility to exactly what's happening on your chart. And then of course, if you click on the other tabs such as data, it also gives you the ability to segment the data differently. So depending on how the metric was constructed and how rich it is, you're able to get a lot of information inside of each metric. Filtering is the same idea. You're really then saying, well, based on the information that I have, I want to then only see a certain slice of information so that I can zero in on exactly what's happening in a certain region or with a certain product, etc. So in addition to the hundreds of instant metrics that we have available, we also have the ability to bring in your own data or create custom metrics. So we're going to do that now. We're going to click into the data sources area, and I've already prepared some data that you can either upload. Here in this case, I've connected to a Google Sheet, and I'm going to show you the modeler. The modeler is a really powerful step that allows you to prepare your data, especially if you're bringing custom data in where you need to set certain properties or you need to cleanse some of your data, or even if you need to create derivative columns where you have certain calculations that aren't available in the raw data. Klipfolio has a really robust function framework that allows you to use Excel-like functions to work with your data, to calculate your data. We don't have to apply any of this in this model, but it gives you a sense of what the depth and possibilities are. So based on this model, we can now go ahead and create a custom metric. So we could either click on this button here, or we can go through the traditional create a metric flow. Let's do that. We're going to click on that button. We're going to choose an existing data source, the model that we created. We're going to choose that and then get into the flow that allows us to define the metric and the dimensions. So here we're choosing revenue as the metric. We're going to sum it. This screen allows us to choose the dimensionality that we want to filter or segment our metric by. We then, of course, have to specify a date column if that's available. And then, of course, what is the shape? So I know that my data is coming in on a periodic or a daily basis. So the name is good, it's currency, revenue going up is traditionally good, so we'll keep it as that. And you can see that the metric immediately shows up, and just like with the other metrics, you can go in and understand that data better. You can deep dive, segment the data, filter the data, just like any other metric inside of PowerMetrics. Now, why don't we go ahead and put this all together on a dashboard? So I'm going to create a dashboard called Our Performance. And on that dashboard, I'm going to add the metrics. Even though you can add images and text as well, I'm going to add the metrics that we just created. So users, percentage new users, and revenue. And I'm going to show you how we then duplicate and lay them out and configure them so that you end up with a beautiful dashboard that you can then share with your team. So you can see that I'm just moving things around, and then every metric I can configure the way I want to see it. In the top left-hand corner, I just have users by time. And in the bottom, I'm looking at the percentage of new users, but I'm just using a single value. So let's do the same thing on the revenue side. With the revenue metric, I have laid it out the way I want it. I've now duplicated, and I'm actually going to duplicate it twice. Once to show our total revenue, but I'm going to duplicate it again to show ARPU, or the average revenue per checkout. And I'm just going to rename that. It's super easy to do that. And you can see that instead of sum, of course, I now need to choose the average as the aggregation method. I'm also going to modify the chart type for the top one, and I'm going to choose a scatter plot and try to relate products to countries. And you can see that I can do that by adjusting the x-axis, the y-axis, and then also the size. Again, there's so many ways that you can visualize your data to properly tell a story. So now that we've laid out our metrics and we've configured them the way we want, there's one last thing that will always make it much easier for somebody to use a dashboard, and those are dashboard filters. So if I click in the top area, one of the things that is common between the Google Analytics data and my custom data is the country dimensionality. So I'm able to add country as a dimension, and when I save that and I share that with other users or team members, these are then the defaults that they will be presented with when they're working with this dashboard. So now it's time to share it with colleagues and team members. It's easy to do. You add users to your account, and then via this dialog that is available via the metrics as well as dashboards, you can easily share links and add users and grant access rights such as view only or edit mode to them as well. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please try the product and let us know what you think.